All right, so this is the last video in the series, and in the series before, we've talked about how to play the violin without a violin in 5 minutes. We've talked about how to play the violin with no hands. From there, we added the violin we added the bow to the picture. We talked to you a little bit about what the violin is, the parts of the violin, the parts of the bow, and now from here, we are going to allow you to get that next little bit of added enjoyment. Up to this moment, you haven't really been able to play, but we were able to get an open A sound out of the violin. And if you want to hear more of my story regarding the open A, from my perspective, can be one of the most beautiful notes in the entire world. Talk to me about my story later. We can I'm more than willing to tell it to you. But without further ado, we're going to get started because we've got stuff to learn today and we've only got 5 minutes, right? So in that 5 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to start with what we already worked on. We're going to go in, we're going to learn to do a little bit more than that open A to show you that it's possible to open up the realm of things. And then I know I said this is the last video in the series. There is a bonus video in this series. A bonus video in the series where I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do with what you have already learned in these last videos so that you can get started and you can start rocking on the violin, whether that's with hip hop, whether that's with rock, whether that's with fiddling. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. I'm just here to help you get started. Josh Harmon, let's go. So, with no further ado, we started with the pose. If you got kiddos at home, jump, 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 jump. All right, sweet. Just make sure they don't drop the violin. Don't want to do that. All right, so power pose. Take the foot, angle it out a little bit. Right, we got the elbow. Bring it up a little bit. We're gonna breathe in, lean back, over and out. Right, have the fingers wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Violin up. Shoulder rest, chin rest. Right, hands and nook. Right, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Elbow up. Squid hand, squid arm, right? Little bunny frou-frou. Now, we talked about this a little bit, right? Little bunny frou-frou. And the way that we're going to make this fully functional is we're going to put the thumb right in the little notch here. We're going to take these two fingers and put them up over the top. The pointer finger is going to go here. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth. The pinky is going to go here. Right now you have a complete bow hold. Before you were probably doing something like this. This is not good. You want your body to be relaxed. And we talked about squid hands or squid arm, right? So the way that we do that is we have the body as relaxed as possible. We put the hand in the shape that it's supposed to be in, right? And then we get started, right? So we also talked about taking the body here, doing contrary motion. That contrary motion is going to allow your bow to stay perpendicular to the strings. Why is that important? Because if your bow goes over here, where the grease from your fingers have been, you're going to no longer be able to get traction or friction in order to be able to make the sound. We'll talk more about that later. You want to be able to stay perpendicular to the strings. What does that mean? You want an angle, a 90-degree angle, so you want it to, you want the bow straight with the bridge, right? We'll just say that. Straight with the bridge in the opposite direction of the strings. So we've got the A. Contrary motion. Elbows in. Digging into the elbow a little bit, get a little bit more friction, traction. All right, sweet. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to the next string. Now, I'm doing this on purpose. We're going to go to the E string. And a lot of people get a little nervous. They're like, oh my gosh, the E string, it sounds so bad. Of course, it's going to sound bad when you get started. But you're doing great. Don't worry about it. You don't have to be perfect right now. You just have to learn the basics. So next we're going to go to the E. And my E is a little out of tune. That's good enough for now. And right now I'm doing 2 strings, but we're just going to go to E. All right. Now, you know how. You now know how to play an open A. You know how to play an open E. But before we go, let's teach you how to play an open D as well. So open A, remember, is G, D, A, E. That was A. We're going to go down to D. And the way we do that is we rock the elbow up. Up, D. And because we're already learning to do it, we're going to now rock that elbow up to G. Notice how I'm keeping my bow straight with the bridge. All right, now we're gonna go all the way across to the E, because you can do it. Anybody can learn to play the violin. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of practice, a little grit. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. There we go. All right, so you have learned, up to this moment, we've taught you in 4 different lessons, you learned how to play the violin without a violin in 5 minutes. You learned how to play the violin with no hands. You learned how to play the violin with the violin, then with the bow. You learned how to play the open A. You learned what the parts of the violin are. You learned what the parts of the bow are. You learned how to play all your open strings, G, D, A, and E. So up to this moment, you've done a phenomenal job. So if you have not yet, give yourself a round of applause, or give yourself a pat on the back, a round of applause, whichever one you want to do, because you have now learned how to play the violin over the course of the last 4 days. And as I promised, the next video is the last in the series. It's a bonus in the series. We're going to teach you how to take the things that you just learned and how to apply them in a modern sense, because I'm all about that. It's not just about learning the classical. The classical is great and it teaches you some very important skill sets. But I found that when it comes to maintaining intentional motivation and being able to move forward, you got to apply it to some of the other things that you enjoy in your life. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how that works for me. All right. Well, I think that's all what we got today. That's what we got for these first 4 videos. Tomorrow when we come back in, we're going to show you how to be able to utilize what you learned so far and put it in modern time, in real time. Let's go.